Welcome to part 3. Now, we have discussed the second step in detail, and once again, I would suggest that whatever that you've learned, you put that into a summary so it becomes easier for you to go back and reflect on something. And plus, whatever that you write or type in, chances of you remembering is more. So make sure that you type in the summary of the second steps that we have done. Now comes the next one, which was, what do you think companies look for? What do you think the companies are looking for when they're talking to you? So what I've done in this one is I'll be discussing, there are 8 points that I'll be discussing it with you. And I want each one of you to pay attention. Like I always say, take down notes, and also towards the end, put that in the summary or put that in the comment section. What have you learned from this? Okay, here we go. So the first thing that we need to learn is, what do companies look for? Well, this is what they're looking for. So what is observed? There are 4 pointers that we will discuss here. Number 1 is your timeliness. Now, what do I mean by your timeliness? Timeliness means how, to put it simply, respectful are you of time? Okay. Do you value time or not? That means, have you reached the office on time? Have you reached the interview on time or not? Most of us get stuck, and that's one of the reasons why timeliness is the topmost priority when it comes to forming a good impression. Let me tell you this. In our country, everybody is in a rush and no one reaches anywhere on time. That's the sad part. Okay, and that's for Times of India. So what do we need to do now is make sure that we are paying extra attention to being mindful of the time. That means we leave early from the place, we leave early from our house, we reach there, we keep a buffer of at least half an hour to 45 minutes just in case if you run into traffic. All of these things, ladies and gentlemen, go in your favor or against you. Either they go in your favor, that means people will think that, yeah, whatever that you're saying, you reached here on time, that means you're serious about this job. Or they will think if you're not here on time, that means you're probably not serious about this job. Hence, it's important for you to make sure that you adhere to the time that has been discussed. If you're genuinely running late, make sure that you inform your interviewer, make sure that you inform your vendor through whosoever that you have the interview scheduled for, that you're running late with the adequate reason. However, it has to be a genuine reason. It cannot be an excuse. I'm stuck in traffic is an excuse, not a reason. All right. So make sure that you have a valid reason. The other bit is try and not defer your interview. For instance, if the interview is scheduled for, say, Monday, then make sure that you be there on Monday and not defer it to Tuesday unless, like I said, there is a genuine reason for it. If there is no genuine reason for it, my suggestion to you will be don't. Okay? That's what I'll suggest. Okay? So don't. Yeah? What else? Well, then comes the second one. What's the second one? The second one is your, dressed right. Hold on, I'm sorry. Yeah. Dressed right. What do I mean by dressed right? I don't need to explain this to you now, do I? Whenever you're going for an interview, make sure that you're wearing, a nice tie and a jacket, or probably, a formal shirt. Even if the company has a very casual wear, which, most of the companies do, I would still recommend go appropriately dressed. Go professionally dressed. See, when you dress up better, or when you dress up correctly, people have an impression, or they form an impression of you. So this really helps you when they're screening you as well. So when they're looking at you and they're forming an impression in their head. Remember, we covered that 7-11 impression. Within the first 7 seconds, 11 impressions are formed. We've discussed that in the previous modules as well. That is what happens. So if you're dressed appropriately, if you're dressed powerfully, if you're dressed with the right framework, with the right mindset as well, that I'm here because I'm serious about my job, it really reflects in the way you talk. Okay, so dress appropriately for an interview, right? Nobody wants to hire a CEO or a manager if you're wearing a Bermuda shorts. You understand what I'm saying? So just remember that. Yeah. What's the third one? Third one is being respectful. Be respectful of the interviewer and, of course, the questions that are being asked. There could be a possibility when you do not understand the question, so you can ask, but don't argue. Don't try and put your point across down someone's throat. Always remember, it is always better to have a difference of opinion, because the more opinions you have, the more ideas you have. And that is also one of the things which is being observed. So sometimes you will be challenged. Sometimes you will be asked difficult question and challenged whether and how do you break it, and do you get into a place where you begin to argue with them. So be respectful. Be respectful of the interviewer. Be respectful of the process. Ask questions if you're not clear in terms of how you're supposed to answer. But at no time, don't demean the person. And this goes both ways. Okay, so even if you are conducting an interview, make sure that you're also respectful towards the interviewee. Make sense? Yeah. What else? The fourth point, which we have discussed as well already, is know-how. What is know-how? Well, do you know about the job? Are you clear about the job? Do you know what it entails? Do you know what is expected out of you? How much are you clear about your job? In know-how, they need to know about everything in terms of research as well. Do you know about the company that you'll be working with? Do you know about the employer that you'll be working with? Do you know about what is expected? What is the vision? What is a mission statement of our company? Your know-how also captures your technical know-how as well. But let me tell you this. Statistics shows, and I'm talking about true statistics, wherein Harvard and Stanford and Carnegie University, they decided to run a poll, rather an interview. In fact, not a poll, but an interview. They met the biggest CEOs, the managers, successful managers, and they found out in terms of why they're successful. And what they found out was that the reason for their success is not their technical prowess, but only their soft skills. That means how they interact with people. How do they make them feel? And in know-how, even though they may ask you technical questions, the main emphasis will be, can you work with them? Can you work with people? How are you in different situations? Can you be respectful when somebody argues with you? You understand what I'm saying? All of these things are noted, and all of these things are observed. What else? Well, what else is observed? Well, I'll tell you more. There are 4 more things which is observed. Number 1, your answering ability. How are you able to answer the questions? Are you able to answer the question with taking a pause and thinking, or are you someone who is just blurting it out the way it comes to you? Both are noticed, and that is an important aspect that you need to keep in mind whenever you are answering a question. Always remember that. Okay, behind every question, there is a person who's asking that question. And the question may be difficult, but let's not label the person difficult. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the person will be asking a question, the interviewer will be asking a question. If there are more people, if there are more than one, they will be asking you questions. And how well you're able to answer also shows if you are the one that they're looking for. Because the way you will answer the question also showcases to them that, are you the one that they're looking for? Are you the one who will be able to take care of the job? Are you the one who will be able to probably put a structure around the chaos that is right now being created? All of that comes from the way you're answering, and your answering ability, ladies and gentlemen, needs to be in accordance with what? In accordance to the job that you've applied for. You got it. Job description. So we need to answer. See, I'm taking you back to step 2. You need to answer it in a way that is always showcase that you are the right candidate, by showcasing that you know the JD and you know what is expected out of you. So you answer the questions basis on the job description, basis on the role that you've applied for. And that is how they'll be able to see, are you the one? And they will ask you a lot of questions basis on the present scenario, basis on hypothetical situations, basis on what is happening as is, which is probably not the right way of doing it. And they may ask you a question basis on that. How would you be able to solve this? Would you be able to take care of an employee who's not listening to you? How would you be giving feedback to people? Or how would you ensure that you will increase the sales? What would you do that will help us get to our goal. And they can ask you a lot of questions they can ask you a lot of questions only looking for that one particular person. Are you the one? Are you the one that they're looking for? All right. What else? Well, the other one is your experience. What do I mean by your experience? Well, what is your experience like? What have you done in your previous experience? Now, your experience also need to talk about how has that prepared you for this role. I'll say that again. How has your experience prepared you for this role? So you may have a 10 years of experience, 15 years of experience, 20 years of experience, 21 years of experience. How has that shaped you for this role? And that also needs to be told in a form of a story, not in the usual way, the way you usually share your experience. And I'm going to tell you how you do that. Like I told you, this right now I'm only covering the process, so you understand what is the process, and then I'm going to cover how are we going to cover it. Okay, so this is what and why are they looking for this, what is the process, and then we're going to talk about how are you going to do it. So your experience matters a lot, and they will look at your experience only from the second point aspect. Are you the one? So your experience may matter, may not matter sometimes if you are the one. Okay, because sometimes they will take calls. Like I was telling you in the previous video, I have hired people who are low on experience but are able to impress me, but are able to answer the questions correctly, are able to showcase that they are ready for the role. So your experience matter only as much as you're able to showcase how have you or what have you learned during those years that you're working on, and how has that prepared you for the present role that you've applied for. Okay. And then comes the last one, which is your speaking prowess. Okay. What do I mean by that? Speaking prowess. Well, are you able to articulate well? See, articulation, I've covered that in the Master Speaker Blueprint, and I genuinely hope that you have finished that module and now have come here, because you need to finish that module first before you take up any other courses. Okay, so speaking prowess depends upon how well can you articulate, how well can you define a situation, how well can you define a problem, how well you be able to explain the answer, or how would you be able to explain the solution. Because if you can explain it, if you can articulate it well, then people will understand what needs to be done and they'll be able to perform better. But if you're not able to articulate the issues or the solutions, then the team members or your teammates or probably your colleagues will not be able to understand you. And that is why they pay extra attention to this one as well. How well can you articulate? Okay, how well can you articulate? Now, speaking prowess and all of these 8 points that I've covered with you so far are an important aspect when it comes to what is observed when they are talking to you, what is observed when they're asking you questions. Okay. My suggestion to you will be pause it if you don't understand it, go back, rewind it, listen to it again. If you have any questions, you can always ask in the Telegram or on WhatsApp group, and also in your one-on-ones as well. But make sure that you are clear about this in terms of what is observed, because each time you go out, each time you talk to people, something or the other is observed about you, always, at all times. Like right now, you're observing me. You're observing how I'm sitting. You're observing the way I'm seated up. Am I sitting straight or not? Am I slouching? The color of t-shirt I'm wearing. Everything you're noticing, and that's exactly what happens when you go for an interview. That's what I'm saying. When you go for an interview, exactly the same thing happens. Now, this is what I'm going to do. After this, I'm going to cover something way more important. That is, what skills are assessed. I'm going to cover these 6 skills in the next video. So make sure that you pay attention to that as well. What skills are assessed? So you get those questions. Remember, I was telling you, if you get a question paper before you appear for a test, how great that will be, because you would know what questions to be asked and you'll prepare accordingly. Well, this is what is going to happen. So in the next video, I'm going to cover this, what skills are assessed. Now, I hope this video made sense to you. Put down in the comment section, what have you learned from it? What one thing that you have learned from it, which you'll be applying it immediately. Put that in the comment section, and I will see you in the next video, in which we'll cover what skills are assessed. Thank you.